Good evening. Whilst the logic of school closures is portrayed in communications from the British government and English local authorities as acts of logic and rationality, school closure invariably generates press stories of incensed parents, irate communities, and exhausted teachers. What is frequently lost amongst the sturm und drang of closure, however, are the tiny stories, Denzin 1991, of loss, of professional expertise, of collective memory, of shared hopes and fears. This paper introduces a research programme which asks what is lost from a school community once the programme of closure has been agreed and a school moves inexorably towards its final days. In counterpoint to the National Building Schools for the Future programme, this project is informed by earlier work conducted by Whitefield, 1980, Molinero, 1988, Schmidt, 2007, and Picard, 2003. This study is thus both timely and of significance to future policy developments. The lived experiences, Van Manen, 1997, of the community of teachers, families and children during school closure is rarely researched, and a great deal of understanding and knowledge remains uncaptured, analysed or assessed. This study began as an ethnographic study of the closing months of a single primary school, Centenary Primary School on the Wirral, which celebrated its 100th birthday with its imminent closure just months away. It adopts a multi-method research strategy using both quantitative and qualitative research methods, the latter of which involves a traditional ethnographic approach coupled to an arts-based ethnological educational research methodology. Now, one methodological consequence of adopting an arts-based research approach to the research has been to engage a team of artist researchers. This means that the knowledge of the lived experience of school users can be developed from different perspectives which privilege not only linguistic forms of communication but spatial, musical and visual. A method we believe is important to the school given its diverse mix of users and participants. It thus may be of use to schools in similar circumstances who wish to effect positive political outcomes during periods of future rationalisations, and in doing so transform their tiny stories into noisy histories. Do you remember 1940? You were only 6 years old, the Centenary boys were dressed in khaki, so brave.
Talked to Ellie, 4, and Georgia, 6, about the playground and the lovely patterns on the floor. Georgia was very keen to show me how well she could hop, skip, count all the numbers and point to the letters in her name. Georgia hopped from letter to spell her name out, and I said, that's fantastic. We went to the other part of the playground to look at the other patterns, and all the children jumped from number 10 and counted competently. We decided to let Georgia and Ellie go inside, as the wind was cold and we were shivering.
Following consultation with the governing bodies, parents, staff and other stakeholders, Cabinet has decided that the statutory notices should be published regarding the closure of Centenary Primary School and the establishment of a new F1 nursery class at Livingston Primary School. The Director of Children's Services described the outcome of the subsequent representational period, recommended a proposal be passed and requested that although authorization be given for implementation of the two proposals.
The leader of the council thanked everyone who had taken part.
As a parent from Centenary Primary School, I wonder if parents from Hetherington had been duped by the Director of Education, as we have. We were assured that the authorities would do all in their power to ensure that our children were placed in a school of their parents' choice. Now, much later in the process, we have been advised that we are guaranteed a place in a school that does not want us. When Derek and I set up the display boards, two families gathered round us to look at the photographs and instantly recognised one of the teachers in the display. A father and a son, looking at the photographs, took great delight in seeing a teacher who teaches in his school. Word of mouth will see more visitors come to Seacombe Library to look at the Centenary School photographs. We hope the few remaining staff will find the time to visit the display. We don't think that all the staff have seen the photographs on display.
News of the school closure spread rapidly across the community with some unexpected consequences. I wish to inform all members and visitors of the Centenary Sports and Social Club that the club will remain open. There are rumours running around to the contrary, but believe you me, this committee is committed to keeping the club open. Doug Brown, Chairman, Victoria Sports and Social Club, Wallasey. Oh, and by the way, one of our members, Mr. Doug Sharkey, has just written this poem called Centenary Fix.
It's happening all over the land. Our pubs and our clubs all around are closing their doors for the last time and then being knocked to the ground. Those pubs years ago, to be sure, were chocker with people galore, but now it's well known that they just stay at home watching TV by the score. Now I think I have said this before. The reason for this is obscure. Why is it's true, maybe cost quite a few, and the smoking ban more. Now we've just had some news we can't face. Our own social club isn't safe.
Speculators are all over the place. Centenary Vix is a fabulous club and the people there are great. But the thought of it getting knocked down is too hard to contemplate.
There are major concerns regarding the children with special needs.
Two of the teaching staff in Centenary Primary hope there will be the same support for those children with major physical disabilities as well as for those children with learning disabilities.
There are
Major concerns regarding the children with special needs.
But because of the ongoing loss of staff, there is the possibility that one-to-one support will not be possible and the children who need support will feel vulnerable. On the other hand, lack of specialised support could encourage a child who needed extra help to become independent.
There are major concerns regarding the
Children with special needs.
Unfortunately, the teachers have had to move on to other schools. Other staff, such as support assistants, have not as yet found employment, and they are worried they may face long-term unemployment.
There are major concerns regarding the children with special needs.
Centenary's always been a good school, and I think it's terrible that they're going to close it.
We signed a petition to keep that school open.
Oh, they already knew what was going to happen. We had no say in the matter.
My son took a long time to settle into Centenary, and now he's doing really well in every aspect of his learning. And I'm worried with this upcoming forthcoming upheaval when the school closes for good. Will it unsettle him?
Terrible.
Terrible.
It's terrible. teach, knowing that they're losing their jobs?
Why do we have to close our school? It would be better to close Livingston. It's a much smaller school with much less land to rebuild.
Our playground is bigger. And what about the amount of children in each class? The school will have to think about how many kids are in each class.
Our children are having so much land to play on, and now they have to use a small school ground at Livingston, but it's supposed to accommodate 2 schools. I'm really sad about the closure. I wish they could keep the school open, but I'm nervous about the children going to another school. But, I'm looking forward to seeing the new school and how it will look. I suppose the positive thing is we'll have a modern school. Specialist staff are entering the reception area to pass on their good wishes to the remaining staff in the school. All the colourful artwork is removed from the walls piece by piece, and the interior looks bare. The atmosphere inside the school feels lifeless, and the bare walls feel clinical. The staff have so much to do in so little time. They only have a week to remove all the equipment. We pass on our good wishes and prepare to leave. We make our way upstairs to the office managers, and we pass a teacher who was yet to find further employment. School place planning is a statutory responsibility of the local authority.
LA.
Each LA must strive to provide diversity of provision and bring increased opportunity or choice. They must bring every school provision regularly, ensuring that there are sufficient places to meet the needs of the population. Where there are high levels of surplus places, we expect LAs to take direct action to cut these, as maintaining excessive surplus places represents a poor use of resources. Resources that can be used more effectively in raising standards.
Standards.
One thing I became acutely aware of in the final stages of this project was my own mortality. One morning, waiting at some traffic lights on a motorway junction, I suddenly saw next to me a travelling companion, my death. He was a well-dressed fellow, politely sat looking out of the car window, occasionally looking at his wristwatch and smiling. Not a big ogre figure, but a patient, well-mannered sort of a chap who's biding his time, because it will come, that time, at some point. It seems we all carry our deaths around with us, but it takes time to see them in all their fruition and all their glory. The dying school is just that. A real-life school which has been living alongside its death partner since it first opened its doors to its staff, its children, and its parents. Its death partner, like mine, has been looking at it askance for some time, tapping its wristwatch and smiling. The closing school, the dying school, is not one that is somehow fading away out of its own volition, though. An identity, not just an identity, is being phased out, obliterated, killed off. This is not an industrial plant that is being decommissioned, but an organism that is being laid to rest, having its lifeblood and oxygen slowly sucked out of it. Slowly and surely, the school death partners take their places in the classrooms and down the corridors and in the school halls. They divide people, cause a loss of interest, stultify curiosity, and unalign people and places and things. They separate rather than bind. They deinstall rather than install. They cause the pulse to slow, the breathing to flutter, and the skin of the school to take on a pallid hue. They affect inertia, stasis. And once in a while you can see in the wind blowing across the playground and see their reflections in the puddles, which have stopped draining away, as there's no one around to unblock the drains anymore.
It's
Just a loss of identity. That's all.